Are we live?
Hi, welcome everyone to another Facebook Friday Live. I am Mary, Concepcion Lactation Support Peer Counselor at Open Arms. Welcome to Asian Pacific Islander Breastfeeding Week, something that a few of us around the nation, some people in LA and us here kind of just designated it because we didn't have one. So welcome everyone. I'm lucky to be joined here by three wonderful human beings, lactating parents, mothers. We have Malia, and she's a mother of three. She nursed twin daughters, and she's currently nursing her son, her infant son. And we have Amelia. And Amelia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Amelia Carmona. I am affiliated with Rainier Valley Midwives. I work at Rainier Valley Midwives as a medical assistant and office person. And I was a nursing mom for my two little kids. I have, for my son, I had a little bit more difficult time. And for my daughter, I just weaned. So she just turned 1 and I just weaned, which was very different than the first time. Hello, everyone tuning in. I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited to be here, and I just want to empower all the people and folks breastfeeding, and especially people in the Asian Pacific Islander community. So thank you for having me, Mary.
Thank you. And you're a breastfeeding peer counselor too. We took
and I was a breastfeeding peer counselor, Indigenous breastfeeding peer counselor as well. Yeah.
And we have Nohe.
Hey. Hi, my name is Nohe Ka, and I breastfed my daughter for almost a year and a half, 2 years, but she is 16 right now. And yeah, just happy to be here and share my story.
Yeah, it's so great to see parents in our community breastfeeding, because at least in King County in Washington State, Pacific Islanders have one of the lowest breastfeeding. So we are trying to change that and get normalized breastfeeding within our communities. What did you decide to, what was your reasons for breastfeeding?
Me?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear if you asked. Reasons? Well, I wanted to breastfeed so badly because just I felt like I was doing my part as a mother to nourish my child and, giving them all of the nutrients they needed and immunity support and the bonding and just name it, every single reason why. That's why I wanted to. I wanted to feel like I accomplished something and really worked for it, and I just felt like it was what my body was meant to do. So that's my reason.
Yeah, I felt that too. When I have twins. I don't know if I told you this, but I have twin daughters.
Did I know that? I didn't know that.
So they're 17 now, and
wow.
I didn't nurse them for as long as I wanted to, but I did for time. I think they were a little under 1 when I stopped, but
that's awesome.
When I found out I was pregnant, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna have them natural. When I first, I didn't know that I was gonna have twins yet, but I was like, I'm gonna have them naturally because this is the only time I'm gonna get pregnant. And breastfeed and do all that. Yeah, because there was a little something turned on in me. I don't know if you all felt that too. It's oh, I want to do these things.
It's like a mother instinct,
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me, I went to parenting classes and it was just really emphasized, how important it was to breastfeed. But for my family, we didn't really see, one of my younger aunties would breastfeed. So I was always like, okay, like it was just weird for our culture just to, be breastfeeding their babies. But, what I was learning is, okay, immunity helps with immunity, it helps with bonding. So, really just kind of getting over the fact that my boobies are going to be out when I'm feeding my baby. That was my big thing. But also, like, I was thinking just, it was really intimidating also, but really the reason was, to really bond with my baby. And, everything that I was told is, that's what moms should do. So it's a good thing, but sometimes I feel, not that I was guilted into it, but there was definitely a sense of heaviness and expectation going into just being a new mom. And
So were you that also? Did your mom breastfeed you also, like in your family?
She did for a little bit, but it wasn't for a long time.
Same here. Like my mom, I think she tried, but I'm not really sure what happened. She said she used to call herself a lazy cow. So I think after she tried, it was just bottle fed formula for me.
That's the same for me. My mom said she tried to breastfeed and she breastfed for a little bit. And I think that's why I decided, because I was 19 when I got pregnant and 20 when I had my son 6 years ago. And I didn't know really much about breastfeeding, and I didn't see it in my community. And I remember taking care of my siblings and, nieces, young kids in my family. I always remember making a bottle of formula. I don't ever remember getting pumped milk from the fridge, so it was very different for me. But then I learned, I did it because my mom did it. And it was actually really difficult for me because I have an inverted nipple. And so it was a really hard process because I didn't really allow community to help me the first time around. So I have 2 kids, I have 3, but I breastfed 2 of them. And so the first time around, I didn't really allow community. Not that I didn't allow it, I didn't necessarily know that there was community around me. So I utilized WIC, but other than that, I kind of just did it on my own. And I think around like 4 months, I stopped lactating out of one breast. So it just stopped because I was more doing it in the one that wasn't inverted. And so I just fed my son for like the next, 6 months. I breastfed him for 9 months, but on one breast, which is possible because there's some people who have, like a removed breast and stuff like that. But the second time around, I was really adamant about like switching breasts and like leaning on community, using my doula support, using, aunties, and like really leaning and allowing community to like support me in that way, which was really cool. And I was super successful in it. Like I went a little bit longer and I breastfed off of both breasts, so that was super cool.
Mary, do you feel that there was this much community support like when you had the girls? Because I didn't feel like that when I was 16 years ago.
I was going to bring that up too. Yeah, there wasn't, because I think we were probably one of the first mothers in our like generation. There wasn't, people weren't having babies yet. So yeah, there was definitely not as much support, or if there was, because I believe Open Arms was around, but it might have not made its way. The resources might have not made its way to us from, our healthcare providers. Maybe they didn't know, but yeah, definitely not. And I also didn't see too many people around me breastfeeding. I think I was formula fed. So, because that was, I don't know the story behind it, but we're all mothers. It's like so easy to get a bottle.
Right.
So, so that was just like the standard, like, oh, just here, feed your baby. Why are you gonna stress out about, breastfeeding?
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of question of, is the baby getting enough milk? I don't know what kind of that goes back to, if like It could have been, us not having enough food, or I don't know, but that always seems to be a big question: is the baby getting enough? Because some folks put rice in the bottle and stuff like that, and I hear that a lot when I'm helping parents breastfeed, chest feed, and that's a question that comes up a lot: is the baby getting enough milk?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the survival instinct too in all of us. Like, thriving is making sure you're fed, you're warm, you have shelter. And I mean, a lot of doctors, say that too, is, failure to thrive would be like a baby not getting enough to eat. So that's why you have so much pressure on, like, am I giving my baby enough food? Right. Like, are they satisfied? And then you have the pressure of, like, why is my baby crying? Are they hungry? Do they need enough milk? Or do they have enough milk? Are they tired? So that's, like, one check mark you can check off is my baby getting enough to eat? Yes, then it must be these other things. So
right, it's easier to quantify with the bottle. I have heard that people pump, and it just gives them a sense of security that okay, they've got like 2 ounces or 4 ounces. So
yeah, absolutely.
Did you did you feel that the classes that you took when you were pregnant, was that really helpful for you, and did it help you set a foundation for breastfeeding?
Not for breastfeeding. I mean, it was good for actual labor and getting me through labor, but not breastfeeding. I definitely had, so I was lucky enough to, the lady that led the class, she was actually in the room when I gave birth, and then actually came to see me like a couple times after Anna was born, like the day that she was born and the day after. So she really helped me, but I didn't have any family or anybody in Minnesota. So Wendy, I mean, I still remember her name too. Wendy really helped me, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And it was just all kind of trial and error and figuring out like what hold she likes or what hold I can do to like vacuum or but I was just really fortunate that Wendy had like really good tips and that Anu latched on. And I mean, there'd be hard times, definitely, but I feel when she wouldn't latch on is because I was like stressed or just tense. Or there was a lot of times, or like when there were a lot of people around, like in our house, like
you get distracted.
Yeah, her energy would just be crazy. And then I would get stressed, and then she wouldn't latch on, and then I'd be crying, and but I learned that most of the time I would just need to kind of step away and quit freaking out, and then it would definitely help, because I am positive like babies be feeling that energy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. That's one of the things my mom told me too, because I was freaking out a little bit in the beginning, and she was like, just relax, they can feel your energy. And I'm like, okay, I'm relaxed enough.
I'm like, why is she not latching? What's going on? And your boobs are leaking all over the place.
Right.
And you're crying, and then,
yeah. I feel like I went through hell for both of my breastfeeding journeys. Like this one with Remy, I got really, really bad case of mastitis, like 7 days after he was born. So that's really, really early to get that. And that's when your supply is still, your supply is still regulating and building, and your body's trying to figure out how much to make. And so I actually got diagnosed with that at a lactation consultation. And it was just like this red spot on my left boob. And then my lactation consultant was just like, you might want to phone your midwife after this, because just let her know it's on the radar. And I'm like, oh, okay, like it might not be that big of a deal, because I mean, I tried so hard for like 7 days. Like he was getting enough because I was like killing myself trying to feed him. Like my nipples were red, they were cracked, bloody. I think he even like spat up blood one time because And then I freaked out, and then I took a picture and sent my midwife. I'm like, is this normal? Is this okay? She's like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, like, you want to get your nipples checked out, but it's not going to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
But on the way home from that lactation consultation, like, it hit me like a semi-truck. Like, I got a fever in the car, and I was just down for the count. Like, my fevers were like 104 degrees, and like with the
COVID,
girls
right?
running around. Yeah, COVID was happening, so the girl with twins running around and her crazy dog, and I was like so sick with this, and like my husband like literally had to like take my face and like, you need to like just calm down, because I was trying to get him to latch like through all of that. Like, it was like the hardest thing I've ever done, for sure. It was bad. He would definitely feel that I was stressed because I was like tense, and like my body was like this, right? But you have to like, relax and like, like lean back. But he was just like, nope.
Can I ask you, what was it like in the beginning of breastfeeding and having complications during COVID? Like,
it was bad. Like, my midwife wanted me to try and get over the mastitis naturally.
Ooh.
Which was hard. Like, I could see her reasoning. She wanted me to do it because she said that like, if you get over it naturally, your body can combat it again if it happens again, right? So that got me into like 4 days of full-blown mastitis, and I didn't want to like go anywhere to like a doctor or urgent care because of COVID. I was paranoid in that sense.
Yeah, you have a new baby.
Yeah, I have a new baby. I didn't want to like expose myself. And then finally, like after like 3 nights of 102 to 104 degrees, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm very, very sick. Like, my boob was just gnarly. And so finally my mother-in-law helped me get into, because she works at a pharmacy, so she got me into the urgent care there. And the PA was just like, I'm actually really impressed by how bad this is. So, I mean, like, she said it was probably the worst case she's seen.
The body aches are really bad, right? Like, I don't know.
You feel like you have the worst flu of your life.
Right. I also had mastitis.
Did you?
Yeah, and it was also within the first week. But I went to urgent care, and it was right before COVID happened. So I can only imagine like how much more complicated it would have been if it was during COVID. And if I tried to I could not. All I remember is like getting really hot. Or really cold, actually. Really cold. And I was like, I don't ever wear. It was like summer. I had my daughter. And
your teeth were chattering, right?
And I was like, yeah. And then I was like putting on a robe, and I'm like, who am I? I'm putting on socks. I don't even wear socks. And then all of a sudden, like, my body just started hurting, like all of my muscles. I don't know how you did it for 4 days, but you're amazing for just.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Crazy.
During that time, did you continue to? What happened? Did you continue to feed your son from that breast?
So it continues. The saga continues. So not only did I got antibiotics for that, and then I had something. Do you guys know what milk blebs are?
Yeah.
Basically like your nipple callus is over, like your milk, like the not the ducts, but like the holes in it, like callus over. So not only did I have mastitis, I had a plugged boob that I couldn't like get anything out of.
Girl.
It was like encouraged, and what I had to do is I had to literally like, none of my midwife didn't say anything about it. I don't know if it was just like she was just so busy with COVID and like her other cases, but my husband actually is the one that was Googling like crazy, and he's just like, I think you have these, and this is what you have to do. Like, I had to literally go in the shower and scrub my nipple raw with mastitis. I had to take them out. Like, I had to take it out.
Unplug it. Yeah.
You were in like a hot shower and like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so this is gross, but I pump after that, and like it was like really like, if you looked at the milk afterwards, it was like really like stringy. just because that's all of like the whatever it is, you know. It's glamorous. But
it's real.
Basically, my nipple was like a callus. Like I had to get that off.
Did you guys anyone else ever experience blebs? Or have
or heard of them? Like, no. Yeah, it's crazy to me because I talked to a lot of people and a lot of people didn't even know they existed. I'm like, that's like a pretty crazy thing you have to get through and know you have. And that's exactly why like my supply went down so much because of that.
That's love and dedication. How did you get your, so what happened after that?
Well, we did a lot of, we had to supplement some, and then we did a lot of like pumping and bottle feeding. And I just got lucky that I was afraid that he would refuse to take like my boob because we were giving him so much of the bottle. That's kind of right? No, that's not me. We did do like a preemie nipple, and he's still on a preemie nipple on his bottle. So he has to, you know, like work for that. But he still, you know, breastfeeds off me too. So I'm lucky in that sense.
Yeah.
But it took a long time.
Congratulations. Can I just say that's amazing? And like you could have just been like, I'm not doing this, and that's amazing.
I could have. Like I was literally on day 2 or 3 of mastitis, and I'm like, I can't. I have to give up. And then 6 months later, I'm still breastfeeding.
Right? Yay! I mean, that's a lot of dedication.
Yeah, and I think I was so determined because it was so hard for me to breastfeed the twins. They were 5 weeks early, so we had like everything stacked against us. I mean, that's you know, I had a hospital birth with them. I didn't need a cesarean, so I was able to have them, you know, vaginally. But like, I had the whole hospital experience with the epidural and everything, and you know, like they were small, so they were. Sorry, Charlie, stop. They were highly monitored, but they didn't go into the NICU. They didn't need the NICU, and so I think Elsie, her smallest was like, she dropped down to under 5 pounds. So that was hard to just, you know, try and breastfeed her or, you know, both of them, because they constantly needed to be woken up to eat and like so much more, to be fed so much more often. And then with Remy, I went complete opposite. Like I went with the midwife. I went with Tacoma, the birthing in. I had him completely natural, no meds or anything. And so like that approach gave me more resources with breastfeeding. So I think that's, you know, like that's part of the reason why I'm successful with breastfeeding him too. So.
That's so good. So we're talking about like getting your supply back. Is there anything that you ate or took that, you know, was passed down maybe from family?
I tried that approach gave me more resources with breastfeeding. So I think that's, you know, like that's part of the reason why I'm successful.
I think
weird. Is there a lag?
There is. Is somebody on Facebook?
I'm sorry, it was me.
No, I'm not. The only thing I have.
We had shared it. And yeah, it
started. I was like, the only thing I have is my monitor with Remy.
I know.
I've done it before. Sounds like somebody
for the technical difficulties. I'm your girl, okay? I'm your girl. My bad.
So the question was if I tried anything. I tried everything, every supplement, everything I did. I still do. I eat oatmeal every morning. I mix it with like flax. I take fenugreek. I drink water. I drink Body Armor drinks because they're supposed to be good for your milk supply. Let's see. When I had mastitis, I took sunflower lecithin because that like unclogs your ducts. Yeah. I power pumped, which is like you pump for a full like 30 minutes and then 10 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, all that. I've tried all the things.
When
And I mean, it worked. It worked. I think it helps me like sustain what I already have. But there was no like one miracle thing that made me like, oh my gosh, I'm pumping or I'm breastfeeding so much more.
Yeah.
So
Fountain, it didn't.
And I didn't have time. Like I have twins and stuff too. It's just
Right.
like I was just like stretching myself then.
When I lived in Hawaii, and I might be remembering this incorrectly, but one of my friends was saying poi is good. Is that true?
Oh, they say poi is good for everything.
Yeah,
I know.
But I don't know for sure if it is, but
I mean, it's a root, so it could be.
I know for well, I just found out after being in this career that there's a leaf in the Philippines. It's called malunggay, and it's supposed to be like a superfruit, but it's a good galactagogue. It's good for helping your milk supply come up. But yeah, they have them in teas and pills now. I think in the West they call it moringa, but yeah.
Do they sell it like in the States?
They do, yeah. I bought some from the Vitamin Shop or Seattle Supplements.
Oh, you got tablets or something?
It's a powder, but
Okay.
I
haven't heard of that one.
Moringa, right? Over here you said moringa.
Moringa.
Yeah, it tastes like green tea, right?
I think so.
Matcha. Yeah, I like it. I tried it, but not while I was breastfeeding. While I was breastfeeding, I did a lot of oatmeal. But like, I know like back on the islands, we had a lot of coconuts, and like I don't know what it is about that coconut water, but
I did coconut water.
Coconut water is it. Those coconut clusters from Costco. I don't know what it is, but that they were it. And not myself, but somebody mentioned that the pink drink was really helpful for their supply. But so coconut water, coconut-based stuff is really good and yeah.
And it tastes good too when it's super cold.
All these superfoods like coconut and moringa, it's just great for everything. We have a question. Farah wants to ask, what's your favorite part about nursing your babies?
Probably, he doesn't do this as much anymore, but probably when he's breastfeeding and he like gets distracted and he stops and he just looks at me and just like cracks the biggest smile and like starts laughing. Like we're supposed to be eating, and I'm just like, eat your food, eat your food. And he's just like laughing at me, like with my food in his mouth. It's weird, but that or when they like reach for your face.
Vanessa said the sound of their gulps and their chubby hands caressing while nursing.
Locking eyes and their sweet grins. There it is. Yeah.
That was
that. I love to be able to continue the bond. Like we are growing our children in our bodies, and we're their first home, and to continue that in this realm, in this world, and have that bond, that like super sweet bond with them, that they just know that they are loved, and it creates this sense of belonging and wantedness, and just like that they know that they have a home in you, like they're in their mother, and just like that sweet bond. I'm like, it's always sad when you like stop nursing. I just stopped nursing, and it's so like it's hard because it's a really hard thing to start nursing, but it's a really rewarding thing. We give up our bodies for, not give up, but we have to stop on demand, pump, like have mastitis, pain, but we do it all for our babies.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
I think my favorite thing when Anu was little, she would always grab my hair, and she would just grab my hair, and so like that was like my favorite thing when I was breastfeeding.
Like right back there.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
hold on. My dog is just.
Yeah. Do it again.
The words they use to nurse. I want to nurse, eat please, or my favorite other boob. I love that.
Yeah. So, Malia, you mentioned your husband was Googling things, and he at one point just like sit you down and just have you relax. How, it might be a silly question, but how important do you think that support is?
I wouldn't be breastfeeding right now if it wasn't for him. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't even, like, just thinking back to how hard it was, like, I had so much guilt that, this happened, and, like, I'm failing him, and then, like, guilt, like, failing Remy, my son, and then the guilt of, like, having then they were, like, 3.5 then. Like, 3.5-year-old girls, like, they're not getting attention, and it was awful. So having somebody with so much, like, support and, like, being on board and on the same page as me, like, I wouldn't be breastfeeding right now if it wasn't for him. So yeah, it was, he, like, we joke about it now, but, like, it's funny because he, like, turned lactation consultant. Like, as much research as he did for me, because because he knew, like, how much I wanted it and how upset I was that I couldn't do it with the girls like I wanted to. And so
yeah. And that's so cool, that you had you lived in Minnesota. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I lived in Minnesota. Yeah. So Anu's dad was working in Minnesota. So I gave birth to her there. And then 2 weeks after she was born, we moved to Miami. Yeah, we were, like, all over the place. So my journey of breastfeeding was literally by myself with Anu's dad. And we were in Germany. I mean, we were all over the place. So yeah, it was interesting trying to figure it out, and he was supportive, but it's it was.
Yeah. And then back then it was
a journey.
Job, so I feel like.
What was that, Mary?
I was like, back then when we had our babies, so like what, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it'd be like, oh, that's the mom's job. I'll let you handle that. Like, I don't want to get involved. Like, they'll help us with much of
yeah. For me, like, definitely the first, like, 3 to 6 months, it was, I was very much hands-on, and Felipe would, as much as he could, take her away and feed her. But I was really trying to do just breastfeeding, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to stay home. So, that I think helped a lot, getting her on the schedule. But I think the hardest thing that I had was when we're living in different places, just I would get crazy looks that, like, people when I would, like, be covering up and stuff. And for me, it was just, I was super self-conscious about it, and then would try to hide in places, or, like, go to the car and feed Anu just because I was just not comfortable.
People were looking at you funny even if you covered up?
Yeah, yes,
Wow.
yes.
So weird.
Yeah. So that was one thing I was always, I mean, the first 6 months I was self-conscious, and then after the fact, I mean, you guys, to me, there was, like, a point in time where I did not care. I would just, you're hungry? Okay, whip it out. I don't care around, like, if I have a blanket or something to put over, but I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? It's their problem, not my problem. I need to feed my baby, and yeah.
That's exactly right. Just like,
So it was the hardest thing I had, was just me feeling the stigma of, people looking at me or just judging, or why is she breastfeeding her baby in the middle of the airport, or,
Because she needs to be, or because she's hungry.
Yeah.
That's what's so great. I feel like,
right.
Now
I think in our community.
Oh, go ahead, Amelia. I was in our community. What were you gonna say? What was it?
Sorry. Oh, my
There's a lag.
my thing's glitching. I don't know what's going on. There's everyone.
Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying within our community, I feel like it's like, you guys can hear me? Okay. I was just saying that yeah, sometimes I feel like we're covering up. We're not very affectionate, like with her. I don't know. And we just, it's kind of weird. I didn't really see it. So that's another thing that kind of like breaking that stigma, like family parties. I'm just like, look, I'm gonna feed my baby, right? We're all eating. So,
Mhm.
You don't like it, look away.
Yeah.
right.
I remember pumping at the dinner table while I was watching TV, just like, yeah, just I'm a
Right.
child.
I remember when my mother-in-law took me to the urgent care for mastitis, like I was pumping in the car, going there. Puppy coming back.
Farah has a question. Is all the sleepless nights, pumping, finding foods, increasing milk supply, and all the effort of nursing worth it? I think
Yes.
that's a yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
Definitely. I had twins, and then 6 years later I had my youngest daughter, and I had all high risk pregnancies. So when I was pregnant with my youngest, I was taking a lot of medication, and when it came time, I didn't feel like giving her more of it, through breast milk. But I don't know. I wish I would have nursed back then. I want to nurse now. Just like knowing what I know, I'm like, I want to do it all over again.
Is that possible? Like, can you I feel like you can do things, or there's something you can take,
Relax.
especially if you're like adopting, or if you're going through like a surrogacy or something, and to make yourself lactate. Is that right?
Yeah, there's ways. I'm still not too familiar with it. Like it's something that I still need to research, but I know that there's ways to do it.
How do you? You could probably use the same thing to like boost our supply. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess what advice would you give to parents that want to start breastfeeding? And then I love that we have just a very diverse group of circumstances, because hey, you were kind of away from your family and you did it on your own, and then Malia, you had a lot of challenges. And Amelia, I don't know your story. Like you had some support, and then later with Love 2, you had more knowledge. Like you had a midwife and a doula.
Yeah, I think like piggybacking off what Malia said, having the different birth approach really, really changed how much support I had. Like I had my son LJ at the hospital, and they were, they asked if I wanted to breastfeed, and I did, and they were supportive. But I don't remember really talking to a lactation consultant more than like 10 minutes, and I didn't really talk to anybody about my inverted nipple. I remember getting like a nipple shield, but I wish that I would have had more support so I could have breastfed off of both breasts for my first child. But I was able to do it again, right? I got another chance. So breastfeeding Low 2 was a lot more successful because of the midwifery approach and like the wraparound care I received. Also, shout out to Vanessa, my doula. She's in the comments. She's from the Philippines too. She's from the API community, and that was so nice to have someone from my community being able to be my an auntie there and just like support me throughout the whole birthing process and throughout breastfeeding. Like, I don't know, it's a different approach when you have midwifery care and you have people from your community supporting you, and you also, it's really important that you allow folks to support you. I remember it kind of being hard I think when you come from a place where you've done it on your own for so long, you don't really want nobody to be, you're just like, I got it, I can do this, but kind of opening up to be vulnerable, to allow community to help you is so beautiful. And it's hard to do that, but it's rewarding, and you'll have like at least for me, a successful breastfeeding, lactating, story. And I'm so happy that I was able to do it for as long as I did, and like stop when I was ready, and breastfeed off of both breasts. And like I had a team that when I had questions, I could just text, somebody, yeah, that is so true. The different birthing experiences really changed how much support I had, or like the resources that I had,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with midwifery, you have your person in your back pocket. Like, you can text her, you can, like message them, and they'll get right back to you. It's as far as like, having an OB, like there's no way that you could do that. Especially like I had my OB with the girls, she was like head of the department, so she was never ever available. She was like she didn't even deliver the girls. I had the doctor on call.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to the moms that tried to breastfeed,
Yeah.
We see you too,
Yeah.
What about you, Mahi? What would you say to someone that was that's thinking about breastfeeding? Like, what helped you through those tough months, or those months?
Oh my gosh. At the time, I didn't have any friends that had kids. But even then, I would just reach out to them and just voice frustrations, or because I literally didn't have any friends that had babies. So I would just kind of tell them my problems or issues. So yeah, it was hard for me to reach out. But I think for me, because I was kind of like, it was just to not put so much pressure on myself and trust the process, trust my baby, and try not to stress out, because it really was like I made it worse by stressing out and putting so much pressure on myself, and me being like, it was just the pressure. Pressure, try not to stress, and finding your favorite hold for the baby, like the baby's favorite hold. I think that was like my thing.
Oh yeah, because from there it's like it's go time, and
they
know.
Yeah, it's crazy because like as soon as like when she was small enough, like I would just like get her in the little football hold, and there's like it's right there. So just finding it really is bonding, with your baby, and like they will find their little favorite spots, and hopefully they do, and just
right. Yeah. Amelia, were you gonna say?
Oh, I just wanted to add, like I think all of you guys have mentioned like being stressed out, and like obviously that's inevitable. It's hard. We're gonna get overwhelmed. It's painful sometimes. So taking a step back, one of the things that I learned in the breastfeeding training that I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing that. Is like, I remember, Malia, earlier you like saying that you were like stressed and you're doing this, and you're like sit back, and like I would just feel a breath. If I could say anything to someone who's going to start, breastfeeding or chest feeding, I would say that sit back, like take a deep breath, like come to a place of like, almost meditation, like you're calm. And if you're not, like have your partner or whoever hold the baby, but like don't stuff your breast. Here I am like
stuff it in his mouth.
Don't stuff your breast in the baby's mouth. Like I was doing that a lot because she wouldn't latch, and like I would just continuously like,
you mean like
come on. But yeah, put baby's mouth. But what is it? Put your nipple on baby's nose, and then you
Go
know,
down.
if you're sick, baby will like, you know, and then the nipple will go in and just
Yeah.
The
just
trick
don't
that I learned,
do like
yeah. The trick that I learned is to help with the latch. You hold your baby, and it's really easy to do like when you get used to it, but it's like really hard and impossible if you at first. What you do is you flip. Hold on, let me see what I did. You would hold your boob like a sandwich, flip it up, and then as you're flipping it up, you take your pointer finger and you like kind of pull down the bottom lip, and then he or she will latch on, and then you kind of adjust the latch when he's on you. So you can make sure the bottom lip is like flanged down and the top is flanged up.
So you're holding the one arm and then the other.
Yeah.
So you have a boppy, obviously. You want a boppy and something to, support you. And then you just kind of sandwich your boob, and then you flip down with your bottom, with your pointer finger on their bottom lip, and then up on top. It's hard to explain, but it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot.
Okay.
You could probably Google it, and it'll probably have a better diagram than what I just tried to do.
Yeah, I mean that's a good description. I'm visual like it's just the flipping. I think for me, if I were I think just to remember why you want to breastfeed, because there's gonna be those times when you're like, oh, my nipples still hurt when I think about it, So there's gonna be those times when you're just like, I am in pain, and you just like give me the formula. But just remembering, like, no, I wanted to do this for a reason, and then just sticking with that. I guess like having the intention, just remembering your intention, and yeah, definitely the energy too.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, I think what I would say as advice would be like, you're going to want to give up so many times, but it's never black and white. So it's never like, if I don't make this feed work, then it's done. Like you have to forever stop. Because like Remy, my 6-month-old, we would have to use the bottle a lot until he got his latch strengthened, until he was able to, like feed right. And that never did anything. Like he didn't like prefer the bottle over my boob or anything. So it just took some time, I guess time too. Just be patient, because as long as you keep your milk supply up, whether it be pumping or nursing, your baby will likely figure out how to get back on and breastfeed. So that's what my issue was. Like I thought it was black and white. Like if I can't do it this way, then he's never going to want to latch on again. But that wasn't the case. So don't lose hope.
Yeah, trial and error. And I think just resources, and then just having knowledge before or while you're pregnant and before you give birth. So you just kind of have an idea or a blueprint, and then when it happens, you're less likely to be like, what?
I'm gonna grab him real quick, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yay!
Hey, we get the baby.
The baby.
Lotu, did she wean on her own, or did you?
Yeah. So speaking of blebs, I have a funny story about a bleb, and the only reason I knew that was because of the training. Bleb. But yeah, so I just decided that towards probably at like 13 months, I was like, I started working got back to work, like I think that like she was 7 months or 8 months or something. But I was just ready. I just was ready. Like some people wanted to do it longer. I personally was ready to stop breastfeeding. And so we did a few days like without me, and then I give her hemp milk. I don't give her like dairy milk, but I give her hemp milk, which is like a superfood for it's just what I do. I'm not trying to promote hemp milk or anything, but it's just like a plant-based alternative. And I started giving her that at like 8 months to not supplement, but instead of me pumping, I never really pumped. Hi, baby.
He's like, what's up?
Oh my
Oh, you got a smile.
Right.
He's so happy after a nap. Oh my goodness.
He's a happy boy. He's like,
what's happening?
Oh my God, he's so beautiful.
Thank
He's gonna want some. Right.
He's gonna what?
He's gonna want some milk soon. He's gonna want to feed soon.
Yeah, he'll be still for a little bit. So
yeah. Oh, he's so beautiful. But yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I just separate, like, kind of brought my daughter to her grandma's for a few days, honestly. And then I tried to like, I know you could use like cabbage leaves help, and not putting like hot water on it, because you don't really want
about mastitis or
no, I'm talking about weaning.
oh yeah.
Yeah, cabbage leaves help like stop the milk, and just, like, put cabbage leaves in your bra. That's super helpful. And then I just like massaged it out in the bath a little bit when my breast got super engorged, but I tried not to. And then eventually, after like 2 weeks, it was yeah. We have a comment that says, what was the plant supplement? I just did my research, and you can start hemp milk at 7 months, like as early as 7 months. So instead of me like pumping, I didn't really pump ever. I used the Haka in the beginning, which was super helpful because how much I leaked. So I'd just be feeding on one breast, and then my other breast would be leaking. So I just popped the Haka on, and that's the breast milk that I saved. But I was mostly home in the beginning of my breastfeeding journey, so I never really had to breastfeed. So around 7 months is when I introduced hemp milk, and that's the alternative that I use. And right now she drinks hemp milk instead of like whole milk. Yeah.
And one of our midwives was saying that goat's milk is pretty close to breast milk, so you can also use goat's milk, but it's a little I feel like it might be a little hard to come by. Oh no, it's actually WIC does WIC.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, goat's milk also. Oh, okay, sorry, I was reading the so was there any is there any cultural traditions that you have within your community, like right after you give birth? You know how some Asian cultures, they'll have the month of confinement where the mothers just stay home, and then people come and take care of them, and they drink and eat these foods that are helpful for lactation. Is there any that you know of within your community?
Awesome.
No.
I wish.
Yeah.
I think my husband's half Korean, so I think in, like the more Korean culture too, like I think I heard of that. Like they would come over and like make food, and you really wouldn't have to do anything besides just sit there and take care of your baby. And that sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
But that I don't think his mom, maybe his grandma would have, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know any either, and I think probably because well, I'm guessing that it was just over generations just kind of taken away from us. So, and then coming here to America where there's these beautiful cultures, you just kind of are exposed to all of them, and then you just kind of see what works for you.
For me, I think that I tried to like do my research, and because I know that like my grandmother on my maternal side, I'm Filipino and Puerto Rican, but I think my grandma on my maternal side, my mom's Filipino, like she had like 7 kids and had them all at home in the Philippines and breastfed all of the kids in the Philippines and breastfed her niece, you know, that her mother could not, didn't have success breastfeeding. So my great grandma breastfed her niece. So, and then when my grandma and her siblings came here, they were very westernized. I mean, it's a part of coming here is like kind of fitting in. It's really hard for I think the older generation. They had to. It was like that you had to do this, or you know. But being a third generation Filipino, Puerto Rican, I tried to reclaim that for my ancestors. So like I did try to make sure that like it was really hard, but like doing the quarantine, you know, and like staying home during that last 4th trimester, not drinking cold fluids, drinking like warm fluids, like drinking raspberry leaf tea for my uterus, like for my uterine health, and like just like having like elders around the baby, which is like super and I had a lot of beans and rice, which I just love beans, but yeah, like teas and like making sure not to drink cold stuff, and just really trying to take care of myself, and in that way, yeah.
That's beautiful. Oh, and in the comments, it says,
Ooh, sweet
potato. Well,
Voila.
voila.
Huh? Oh, I was just like reading the comments in like a pidgin accent.
Somebody
Add
said about
water.
somebody said about limiting contact for baby for the first 3 months. I think I mean, even if we weren't in a pandemic, that's what we do too. Especially before they get their first vaccines, for me at least. But there's a lot of questions about poi too, and I don't know about helping milk supply.
I wanted
Well, I'm so thankful for all of you for sharing your stories. It's so nice to hear about your children and having you in community. Like, representation matters. And it's like now we have aunties. We're aunties now, right? We have aunties that we can go to and see. But yeah, time is up. That happened.
I just want to highlight Teo's comment. She said, I tried to breastfeed, but I could only do it for 2 weeks because it hurt so bad. And like, yeah, we see you. And like,
I saw that one too.
That's amazing too. Even 2 weeks, even a day, 3 days, whatever you did to try to feed your baby, like that's so amazing. So, and then
one of the things,
belly to belly, nose to nipple. So that's what I was explaining earlier. So I guess to remember, if you're like pregnant right now, belly to belly, nose to nipple. Sorry.
One of the things that really helped me is to always remember that I don't remember the statistic or whatever the numbers were, but it's like an ounce of breast milk has like millions and millions of like antibodies or something. So, and like anything you can give your baby, if you're giving all you can, anything is great.
Yeah.
Like, be proud of yourself that you could give a tiny bit to your baby too.
Yeah. So. And it's bespoke to your baby, so it your body makes it for your baby. So yeah, any amount of time. That's awesome. So good job. And thank you everyone for watching, and thank you Nohe, thank you Malia, thank you Amelia. It was so great catching up and chatting with you all.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, happy breastfeeding month.
Happy breastfeeding, happy API breastfeeding week.
Bye.